Okay, turn to Genesis chapter 1. Verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let there be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so, and God made the two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. And he also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God said that it was good. And there was morning and evening of the fourth day. So, I got an email about 3 or 4 weeks ago that said, is God trying to tell us something Monday the 8th? What do you think?
God's trying to tell us something, every day of the year.
God's trying to tell us something all the time. I mean, all the time. God's trying to tell us. But specifically the stars. Does he use those?
Oh, yeah.
All the religious holidays are covered by the new moon. Okay? The Jewish religious calendar, the months are governed by the new moon. Now, the civil calendar is more of a worldly calendar. The religious calendar starts sometimes around the end of September or mid-October, and the Jewish civil calendar starts, it started last weekend. And if you go through the Bible, you'll notice that all major events in the Bible happen to hit the highlights of the religious calendar. The 7-Day War, 1967, was on the year of the Shemitah, or on the year of the year of Jubilee. And the year of the Shemitah marks, if you watch it, have you ever heard the advice about the stock market that be careful of the seventh year? The seventh year, there's always a dip, and people who watch it and count it, the seventh year always comes. The depression started on the year of the Shemitah, the seventh year. Everybody's supposed to forgive all the debts. Everybody's supposed to go back to square one. You're not supposed to till your land, and it was designed to bring you back to God, to make you we get so busy with the world and so busy with everyday life. Does Sunday sometimes surprise you? Oh, tomorrow's Sunday? No? I got a yes. It doesn't be anymore, but it used to. I used to all of a sudden I would now I can't keep track of the days of the week anyway, so it doesn't make a whole lot of difference.
I was just thinking that.
But we get so focused on the things of the world and so busy with the things of the world that all of a sudden it's like, when I was a kid, it was like you'd come in and my mom would say, you got to take the bath, Sunday's tomorrow. It was like, oh, Sunday's tomorrow. And we always took a bath on Saturday night so we could go to church on Sunday and be clean. Don't ask me whenever else we took a bath. But we were always swimming in the river and swimming in the pond, and, you know.
It checks out once a week.
It worked out.
Okay.
Nobody I know in our family ever got sick from being dirty. And most of the kids that spend their childhood scratching around the dirt are healthier kids. So, but, I mean, there needs to be proper hygiene, but I think America's gone nuts with it. I think they've gone crazy. We have a lot of skin problems simply because we never give our skin time to develop natural oils and things to maintain itself. We jump in the shower twice a day and scrub all that stuff off, and then we have problems with dry skin. Now, I'm not giving you hygiene advice, don't go. Give me some precedences in the Bible where God used the calendar, or used the sky to speak to people.
When?
Huh?
Did you ask when he
In
did?
the Bible, somewhere, where God used the sky to speak to people.
Well, Jesus' birth, for one thing.
Jesus' birth, we had the Bethlehem star. Only the heathens figured it out. I mean, all the Jews should have said, "Oh, look, that's important," and they didn't. They missed the whole ball game. And the wise men from the pagan countries came and worshiped the Savior, them and the shepherds. The shepherds were keeping watch by night, and they saw the changes in the heavens, and they knew something important was going to happen. Now, the priest should have been saying, "This is the year. This is it." Because he knew in Daniel when it was going to be. 69 weeks of years from the date to the proclamation to restore the temple. And you count it out, and there stands Jesus. They should have been counting that down, saying, "Any day now the Messiah's coming. Any day now the Messiah." They missed it. And God put an anomaly in the sky that they could see from foreign countries, and Israel missed it. I wonder how many days were like that. If you ever want to read a book about it, T.J. Kennedy's The Bible in the Sky is an excellent book.
And they at least missed it for 3 years because the wise men didn't come for 3 years.
3 years? Yeah.
So, I mean, the symbol was there. It's not like it was there and gone. It was there, and they, for 3 years they weren't looking or...
Yeah. Well, Jesus was probably 2 when they came. Now, we don't know when they started. They might have been 3 years, 2 years, whatever. But they came when it had been there for the entire life of Jesus, for sure. And he was 2 years old at the time, because remember Herod sent the soldiers to Bethlehem to kill what?
Boys 2 years and older.
Any newborn boys 2 years, 2 years, 2 years or older, 2 years
Younger. Yeah.
Okay. So he sent his army into, and where did he get the information? The wise men told him. He asked them, he said, "When did the star appear?" And they told him, and then he sends the troops over to Bethlehem to kill all the 2-year-old boys that had been born, or younger. Okay? Because he didn't want, he wanted to be the king of Israel. He didn't want Jesus to be the king of Israel. We're out.
Joshua when the sun stood still.
Hmm?
Joshua when the sun stood still.
Yeah, Joshua when the sun set still. And there was another time when the sun moved backwards in Isaiah. We studied that a couple years ago. When the sun moved backwards 10 degrees. Okay, and he was speaking to the people involved, and he's saying, "Let me show you who I am. Let me show you what I am." If you read that book, the Bible in the Sky, there are, now I might have this backwards, I haven't read the book for a long time, but you see there are 12 major constellations with 7 minor inside of them. Or there's 7 major constellations with 12 minor inside of them. Okay, but he goes through all those constellations and he relates them to the Bible. The Southern Cross, the lion, Leo, the Lion of Judah. He goes through that whole thing and he relates the Bible to, so that you could see that he put the Bible in the sky. He revealed to people what the truth of the word was, even before the truth was written. It was there. And how do we know that? Have you wondered why they named it Leo, the lion? Have you looked at that constellation? Does it look like a lion? So somebody got the information somehow that constellation represented the Lion of Judah, Christ the Redeemer. And if you go through it, it just amazes you how accurate the people who named the constellations were and drew what they were. Now, what did Satan come along and do?
Gave us astrology,
Astronomy.
astrology.
He came along and gave us astrology. And now, same message, but a very subtle difference. And what did mankind do? They started to name those after pagan gods. They started Mercury, and I was reading last week, in between chicken coops, there was a book laying there called Classical Mythology. And I started reading some of the stories in there about Oedipus and Jupiter and all the ancient gods. And they all are represented by constellations in the sky. Satan took the truth and he wallpapered it with these pagan gods, and we fell for it. Do you know how we got Monday, the name Monday, for tomorrow? The moon god. Do you know how we got the name Sunday? The sun god. And if you go through the days of the week, every day of the week is named after a foreign god. And we've been walking through our lives saturated by this.
So he couldn't ruin Easter this year, so he's going to ruin every day.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, you didn't ruin Easter this year, but you're going to ruin every day of the week
I
now.
wasn't here this year.
I know, that's why I said you couldn't ruin Easter.
You know, if we were gonna name it Sunday, we should have named it S-O-N Day,
Yeah.
not S-U-N Day. That would have been appropriate. But Satan comes along and he's very subtle and he twists it just a little bit and he does his thing, and what happens? What about the planets? They're all named after pagan gods. All the planets are named after pagan gods. Why didn't we name them something spiritual? Satan dupes us every day of our lives. He comes in and he just very subtly whispers in our ear. And, well, God is trying to tell us something. You hear about the earthquake, the very, very rare earthquake last week in Lebanon.
I was say which one? There was
New
one.
Jersey.
I said there was one in New Jersey. There was one in Taiwan. You know, there was several.
Well, the one in New Jersey was in Lebanon, New Jersey. And now everybody on the internet saying, Lebanon, that's in the Bible, isn't it? You know? Yes, it is. And
It's in about every state too.
yeah. And have you read the thing about the eclipse going through all the Ninevehs? Now there are some Ninevehs in that path, but that thing was stretched way out of proportion. And I did a search on the internet and I said, how many states have a town called Nineveh? A lot of them you can't find on the atlas because they're not incorporated. They're just little bitty bergs like sitting like Hillham. Or on your route, you probably got a little place here.
Oh,
Yeah, they're not incorporated, but they have names, they have towns, and the people, some of them have post offices. And
You can travel the world just in the
Like
state.
urine.
Yeah, like urine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other hand,
Our neighborhood's Hobart.
could it be that this is all coming together for God to say, get serious? Get serious, time's short. A very extremely rare earthquake in Lebanon, New Jersey. And if you watch the weather patterns last winter, they come right down out and they hit all the liberal states and they go over and they smack New York right in the face. And it's done it every time if you watch it. It comes down through and it hits all the liberal states, just like it's got eyes and is going where it was sent.
I have a theory about this. Now, you tell me if I'm wrong. Every time something like this happens, people are like, oh my gosh, something's going to happen. It's hit this state. And when nothing happens, people forget about it and they forget to look and they forget to look for what's happening. And then when something actual happens, they're not looking for it because they're like, well, it's not going to happen. It didn't happen this time. It didn't happen this time. So they stop looking and they stop searching and it's the planned devil. You know, he's like, okay, we're gonna hit this town. We're gonna, do something, and then when nothing else happens, people are gonna stop looking for the real thing that's happening.
And why is that? Because we don't share with them the truth of the scripture. God said, I'm going to show you things in the stars. I'm going to warn you. When's he going to come? How's he going to come?
Don't know.
In
No,
the sky,
Cloud.
a trumpet's going to blow, and he's going to step out on the clouds. At that point in time, it's too late to warn them. It's over. We might rise to be with him, but they're going to be staying down here for the 7 bowls, at least for the 7 bowls of wrath, and maybe for the whole 7 years. If the rapture thing turns out to be true, we're going to leave, and they're going to be here for 7 years. If it doesn't turn out to be true, where the Bible specifically says the church will not see the wrath of God. And so we will leave at the end of the 7 years, but before the 45 years, before the 45 days. Okay. So, truth of the matter is, we need to be saved. When somebody says, what do you think? What do you think? We ought to tell them what we think. We ought to say, well, in the Bible, God used the stars a lot of times to say things. He gave us the Bethlehem star. He showed people that Christ was coming. He runs the world by the cycle of the moon, by the 28 days. Israel has 1328 months in the religious calendars. They're all 28 days long. They all start with the new moon. Halfway through, you've got the full moon, and then they wane down to the next month. It's all there at the start. Have you ever thought about the syncrasy of the universe? How do the planets absolutely not mess up their orbit? You got asteroids coming and going, you got all kind of gravitational forces pulling in all kind of directions. Something's got to be controlling this. And have you noticed all the planets are perfectly round? As if they were created. Now, asteroids, they're space trash from things that collided and blew up. But if you look at all of the planets, if you look at all the stars, they're perfectly round. There's a few jags on the earth. Have you ever seen a picture of the earth with, Mount Everest is 25,000 feet high, right? So it's the highest point on the earth. But if you ever push the earth away and look at a topographical picture of the earth, Mount Everest is just the slightest little bump on a great big round circle.
I had a friend tell me one time they thought that the earth was flat. And I told
Flat
him, I
earthers.
said, go stand at the top of Pikes Peak and tell me that the earth is flat, because it's not flat. It goes like this. I said, the earth is not flat.
I spent a couple of days of my life reading, I thought, how can these people be saying stuff like that? It's a lot of misguided logic, but, I read it, and it was like, well, I can see how somebody who doesn't know much about anything would fall for that. Because their logic is, I'm not going to get into that. There's no truth in it. We're not going to study it. And I'm kind of sorry I wasted 2 days. But I had a friend that thought the earth was flat. And, I read it and I thought, yeah, but, I mean, but people don't think like they used to. When I went through high school, they taught me at Newcomerstown High School to use my brain. There was philosophy, there was psychology, there was logic, we had debate teams. We had to study and we had to apply the knowledge. We had to debate, right or wrong. Is it 6 people were on the team to debate euphemism, and 6 people were on the team to debate why it shouldn't be. Why it should be, well, if you get rid of all these old people, it'd be a lot less expensive for the United States to, Congress is not going to become they're just going to spend everything they get no matter what anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. They're not trying to save any money. But the bottom line is, we don't think about things anymore. Most of my teachers never gave me an answer. They would say, well, what if, and would lead me to the answer and make me think about the steps getting there. And I think a lot different than kids do today. And I might think a little bit different than you guys. Well, I'm old, so. But, yeah, God's trying to tell us something. Do you remember when Katrina hit New Orleans and everything flooded? About 4 years later, we went down there and we were going to a place in Mississippi, and we were coming down through, and Janice said, let's eat at Emerald's Restaurant in New Orleans. So I thought, yeah, all right. I liked Emerald on TV, he's a chef. So we were gonna get there. You ever been to New Orleans?
No.
The closer that sun was shining, it was a beautiful day. Closer we got, the darker the day got. Sun was still shining, but it was like, you just got this weird feeling that you were not supposed to do what you were about to do. And we get down there and we ate at Emerald's Restaurant, and so I asked the guy out front, I said, how high was the water in the restaurant here? He said, oh, we didn't have any water in the restaurant. This was in the French Quarter. I said, well, I thought the whole place flooded. He said, nah, we had a little water over by the stadium, and we had some water here and there. And he said, all those people that you saw on TV, they lived in the bayou. He said, and they're on the roof all the time anyway. He said, they're all I said, well, we came down a couple of years ago and put some roofs on some houses. They had blue tarps on them. I guess a Katrina, must have blew the roofs off. He said, oh no, those blue tarps have been there forever. He said, the highest thing at home, the highest selling thing at Home Depot is blue tarps. Everybody puts blue tarps on. He said, they wait for hurricanes so the government will give them a new roof. I said, okay. And so we ate and we walked out and we walked down the block and there was all this crazy stuff going on. And I looked at Janice and she looked at me and I said, let's get out of here. She's okay. And we went back and got in the car and went to Mississippi. It's a very dark place. Well, Katrina came in and it hit New Orleans the week before the International Porn Convention was at the major hotel in downtown New Orleans. You think God was trying to tell New Orleans something? Well, 7 years later, Jacob comes into the Gulf of Mexico and follows the exact same track, and guess when it hit New Orleans? That same week, in front of the same event. Did New Orleans ever get the clue? Did New Orleans ever say, you know, maybe we shouldn't be hosting this thing? Maybe God's trying to tell us something? If you go to the 24th chapter of Matthew, it says that there will be signs in the heavens, the weather will change, the weather patterns will change. How did Satan hide that truth from us?
Global warming.
Global warming. It is nothing but a big farce. It is a huge lie. And yet, the Bible tells us it's going to happen. It tells us that there's going to be earthquakes and they're going to become more frequent. It tells us all these things there are going to be wars upon wars. There's going to be, the Middle East is just going to be a hotbed of war. That Gog is going to come down from the north. What is right above Ukraine and the Valley of Armageddon? Moscow. Look at it on a map. Find the valley and look at what's due north of it. Russia is set at Ukraine. At Ukraine, Russia is set to come across the Black Sea and be in the Valley of Armageddon. And nobody's seeing it. I look at the news and I said, Revelation 13, and they're talking about global warming and this and that and the other. And I'm thinking, it's all in the book. It's all there. Well, we haven't done a real good job of sorting it out for them. We haven't. And for the most part, there's a whole bunch of Christians that are going to get blindsided too. You guys aren't. Or if you do, I'm going to smack you. I've been doing this for 15 years for nothing. The bottom line is, God set the pattern. He set the pattern with, put it back at Joseph. He said 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. And what did Joseph do? He said, oh, I'm going to trust the Lord. He'll get me through it. No, he built grain bins. He preserved food. He prepared for it. He prepared a pagan land for it. And Israel profited from it. We need to be the stimulus in the world that will make it right. Now, I had planned for this last 5 minutes, but I forgot to bring the sheets for the day. So we'll start with 2:17 tomorrow and go to 3:10.